I've watched World's Strongest Man since I was a little kid. You know, I'd be glued to the TV just watching all the competitors, and I was just amazed by all the stuff that they could do. This is basically my second year as a professional, and I've excelled at everything very quickly. As you do better and you win and kind of work your way through the strongman circuit, you really start to believe you can go out there and get the job done. It's a goal, obviously, to get to World's Strongest Man, but you got to show up believing that you can win. I've got myself in the mode where I believe that I can win this competition. We'll see what kind of damage I can do.
Great strongman lately. He's something to watch.
And our final athlete, this is Brian Shaw of America.
At 6'8", Brian's a former basketball player. As he fills out that frame, he's somebody that's going to dominate.
Position. So the first object, 231 pounds. Those kegs, they've got to move 2 of them.
John off to a quick start in lane 2.
Brian Siders in lane number 1 having some issues there.
And Brian Shaw cost himself 3 or 4 seconds trying to set that barrel.
On to the second keg, also 231 pounds, and Brian Siders continues to struggle with placement. John, the Canadian, in the middle lane there. Now on to the sacks. These weigh 275 pounds, and Kaz grip is always a problem here. And look at Brian Shaw, manhandles it.
He's comfortable with it. A good long stride. He's making up some ground and time.
So it's American Brian Shaw in the black in the near lane. He is off to the biggest lead right now, and this is the final sack. This is 275 pounds, and this will be the time to beat if he can place it first.
Here's where fitness and conditioning is a question. He looks great.
53.73 seconds for the rookie from America.
John's got the stack in a nice position.
Makes it easy for placement, doesn't it?
He sure looks gassed.
106.92 for the Canadian. Meanwhile, Brian Siders, he's having real issues. I think that sand is just grabbing him. He doesn't know what to do with it.
He's a power lifter. Built to lift heavy weights, not run without generate leverage needed to power right through the fingers.
The first finger weighs 440 pounds, and Shaw makes quick work of that. Both men now under the second finger, 495 pounds, and look at him go.
Sure takes a nice grip, Todd. I've never seen anybody handle the fingers like Brian Shaw is doing right now. This is really incredible. He's toying with it.
His fourth finger, 605 pounds. And the final one, this is 705 pounds.
Todd, he may lack experience, but he's walking right through the heaviest finger.
Brian Shaw accepts some congratulations for his win in the single fingers. A great job by the rookie from Colorado.
Just over
5 fingers in 37.27 seconds. Got it done for Brian Shaw in the single fingers. Mariusz Pudzianowski was second, but his injury is the bigger story. Lawrence Chalet was third. Fourth place went to Errol Haugen. Then it was Jean and Siders. All eyes are on the sport's biggest star. Mariusz Pudzianowski is getting a little treatment on his injured right calf.
Todd, it doesn't look good, but it wouldn't surprise me if Mariusz guts it out.
2 second-place finishes have the 4-time champion in first overall after 2 events. Errol Haugen and Brian Shaw share second. Lawrence Chalet is fourth. Jean is in fifth, while Siders is in sixth. The 3 men were credited for distance. Now it's time for American Brian Shaw. With the help of his win in the single fingers, Brian is currently tied for second overall, Kaz.
Todd at 6'8", 362 pounds. Brian's got the optimum body type for this event.
Well, we've talked about it before. There's no real way to prepare for pulling 50,000 pounds down a course.
Well, look at the leverage he applies on this truck. He's got it moving quick. I like his tilt. He's pulling hard with his arms. But I like his shoe choice. Track shoes, throwing shoes, a big surface under the toes, a lot of grip.
You talk about his cadence and his tempo, Kaz. He has got it all.
He's a super athlete, putting a lot of pressure on that 50,000-pound truck.
Down to the final few meters for American Brian Shaw, the rookie, putting on quite a performance here in West Virginia.
This is going to be a great time.
And Brian Shaw is now the current leader, 43.69 seconds.
You gotta love the way his legs were driving and his arms were pulling. A max effort on a monstrous truck.
Pudzianowski is the truck pole winner at a time of 39.22 seconds. Brian Shaw took second. Louis-Philippe Jean was third. Chalet, Haugen, and Siders were fourth, fifth, and sixth, respectively. We see Mariusz Pudzianowski in his familiar spot at the top of the standings. Shaw is second. Then it's a tie for third between Chalet and Haugen. And remember, just 2 of these men will move on to the final. Brian Shaw had his turn with the squat lift. The impressive rookie struggled for the first time. Shaw could only complete 4 reps in a time of 18.50 before bowing out. Pudzianowski leads with 18 points. Chalet is 1 point back in second. Haugen just 2 off the lead. Then it's Shaw, Jean, and Siders. Keep in mind, only 2 of these 6 men will move on to the final. Continues at the University of Charleston. The Axle Press is the next event. America's Brian Shaw has 2 events to make his push for the final. He's with Kaz.
Brian, you're currently in 4th place. What are you going to have to do to get yourself back into a qualifying position?
Basically, I'm going to have to do everything that I possibly can. There's no way that I can leave anything in the tank at the end of this. It's I'm in kind of a tough spot, and I'll just bring everything I can, and we'll see where it comes out after everybody finishes.
What has been the biggest surprise here in your rookie campaign at the World's Strongest Man?
There's a lot of things that have surprised me. It's great being on the stage and being able to perform. Nothing in particular. It's everything's been great, and hopefully I can have a positive finish to make it even better.
So tall, it's a long way to clean it to the shoulders, and look at how long his arms are.
There you go, Brian. Down, right into it, Brian. Come on.
Now remember that apparatus is 300 pounds, Kaz, and it's not your standard bar. That axle is so thick, you can't get your hands around it.
Really makes it difficult. You see Mariusz do competitions, literally 100 and more over the last couple of years. He has so much experience. He's actually like a machine when he takes this bar to the shoulders and presses over the head. It's hard to realize that's 300 pounds. To him, it's like a little toy.
Go, Brian, right away now.
And then putting the apparatus down is also very complicated because of the bounce.
You can jam a wrist, hurt a finger. You have to really be careful when you're trying to settle that thing down.
Come on, Brian, you gotta go. Come on, you gotta go, Brian. Let's go.
Really important for Brian Shaw here to make some kind of move and get the points, as many as he can.
He's a tough competitor. He just isn't built for this event, but he sure does struggle through it.
10 seconds, Brian.
Mariusz Pudzianowski is the new leader now as he goes to 11, and Shaw, he is dropping back only at 6 repetitions with just seconds to go. The Axle Press is only Mariusz Pudzianowski's second win in the first 5 events. Brian Siders and Louis-Philippe Jean tied for second. 4th went to Harold Haugen. Brian Shaw finished a disappointing 5th. So Mariusz Pudzianowski's 24 points guarantees he'll reach the final. Haugen is second, Chalet's third, Shaw's in 4th, and in 5th it's Jean. All 4 men have a chance of claiming the second berth in the final. Who's going to advance to the final? Whose time in Charleston will end? We'll find out when the Metrics World's Strongest Man returns to West Virginia after this. Welcome back to the Metrics World's Strongest Man. We're on the banks of the Kanawha River at the University of Charleston in Charleston, West Virginia. This is our final event for Group 4, the Atlas Stones.
Todd, the athletes need to pick up the 5 stones, which range from 220 to 400 pounds, and place them on the platforms. This World's Strongest Man Classic is a supreme test of overall body strength.
Charleston's Brian Siders had a rough time with the Atlas Stones. His World's Strongest Man debut ends with 3 stones in a time of 39.43 seconds. Canada's Louis-Philippe Jean entered the Atlas Stones with a very remote chance of advancing to the final. But his result of 4 stones in 16.73 seconds will likely leave him on the outside looking in. On to our next heat for American Brian Shaw. This event will decide his fate. Shaw currently is in 4th place overall, but a big result here certainly propel him up the leaderboard. Meanwhile, Mariusz Pudzianowski of Poland has locked up his position in the final. And it's there where he'll try to become the first 5-time champion. As we look at the current overall standings, you can see that Shaw will need to finish at least 1 place ahead of Lawrence Chalet and 2 spots ahead of Harold Haugen in order to advance. Haugen is certainly in the driver's seat. So Brian Shaw on the right going head-to-head with the 4-time World's Strongest Man champion Mariusz Pudzianowski. Now, Mariusz doesn't need the victory here, Kaz, but he certainly looks like he's going all out.
That's what the champion usually does, Todd. I think he's using it for a workout, a warm-up for the final. Both men under the 5th stone. That weighs 400 pounds. And Mariusz
Morris has done it in a very impressive time, certainly sending a message. All 5 stones, 21.95 seconds. He is the current leader. For Brian Shaw, a good time, 24.81 seconds. Currently in second, but will it hold up?
Todd, I think Morris is just trying to send a message here that he's ready for the final. Brian's really got to be devastated. Not beating Morris really hurts his chances to go to the final.
Harold Haugen wins the Atlas Stones with 5 stones in a remarkable time of 16.14 seconds. Mariusz Pudzianowski was nearly 6 seconds back in second place, and third it was Brian Shaw. Then it was Jean, Chalet, and Siders. For American Brian Shaw, a very strong rookie performance. I'm sure he'll be a factor again. Mariusz Pudzianowski wins the qualifying group. Harold Haugen is second. We'll see both men in the final. Brian Shaw came up short, but showed the hype surrounding him was real. Chalet, Jean, and Siders